lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan,
And I'm Manny.
and today we're going to be talking about some more Keith Giffen stuff. Keith Giffen was the catalyst to kind of make us talk about this, but we're talking about the Defenders, which is the creative team of Justice League from the '80s, reuniting Keith Giffen, Dematteis, and Kevin Maguire with Chris Sotomayor on colors. But Chris Sotomayor was not a part of the original Justice League team. But the first three names I mentioned, I mean, first of all, I think we've talked about the Justice League. We talked about what huge fans we are of that, and Keith Giffen, having passed, just kind of brought this on where we wanted to talk a lot of his work that ranges from like early stuff to the more current stuff. And I reached out to Manny about this, and he had never read it before. He knew about it, but hadn't read it. I thought, this is the perfect time. Let's talk about this one. And I think nobody really talks about this book.
No, man. There's very little, information about it at the time. I don't know what the fanfare was like when it came out. I would imagine pretty good because that's, this is a classic creative team here.
First of all, Kevin Maguire does the best faces in comic books. I don't care.
Absolutely.
This is the phrase we've been saying a lot, but I will stand on that mountaintop.
Yeah.
And I won't let anybody knock me down, dude. Because look at this fucking picture of Hulk picking his nose. Silver Surfer looking just like completely lost in space, no pun intended. Doctor Strange, like kind of like this like smug look to him.
And then Namor looking like an asshole,
just straight douchey. Hulk is the only one that I would say doesn't like depict him perfectly, because I don't think Hulk is like mindless to where he'd be picking his nose, but still It works for this cover, and it's such a good contrast to like the Justice League cover that has become so iconic. I don't necessarily think this cover has become iconic, but it is a really, really solid cover. And
it really is, man, and it's got like, super clean line work from Maguire, which is always a thing that he's done, and like you said, the facial expressions are probably the best in comics. It's an amazing cover.
The thing I love about the Defenders is that they don't want to be a team.
Yes,
that's the difference between Justice League and I wouldn't say necessarily maybe the Justice League wants to be a team, but it's not like they hate being together.
Right. So, they're kind of friends outside of being on the team. They all have their differences, which is what made that title fun. But they were much more like tolerant of each other than these four are.
Yeah, and I love. First of all, the humor in this book is just, it's next level, dude. It's so fun. I forgot how funny this title was, because I have read it before. I just read it again, after, I don't know, when did this comic come out? I think this ad for this Game Boy is 2004. So
the mid-aughts, the mid-2000s.
Yeah. So I haven't read this since it originally came out. I enjoyed just as much as the last time. And I love how, Doctor Strange is asleep. Somebody comes in and who thinks he's being murdered in his sleep, and who is it? It's Wong. And just that face, little smile that he gives, it's stuff like that just makes me laugh. And he's like, "Crimson bands of Cyttorak bind my assailant." I mean, come on, real people don't talk like that, and it's like, it's not Wong, obviously, it's somebody else. Seeing the difference of panels, I know that I'm talking more about the art, but like all the faces are completely different. None of them look the same.
Yeah, which is not easy in comics, man, because even the best artists, like, sometimes you can see like two people, like, especially like if you have multiple characters on a page that might kind of resemble each other. It's not easy to draw like the idiosyncrasies and like the little things that make people different in real life, that even if you look like someone, there's always something that makes you stand out. And Kevin Maguire is excellent at that. It's like, it's in the expression and like the way, someone might be like furrowing their brow, or like, like winking their eye or something. Like, it's the attention to detail that he brings to it.
The wrinkles in the face,
yes,
the dimples that he puts.
The dimples, like, the way your skin will fold when he obviously is someone, I think, that probably studies like portraiture, or like looks at movies and like we'll see like how people's faces change when you make different expressions.
I'm sure I'm sure it's been in interviews, but I can imagine him just like sitting in front of a mirror and doing
Yeah.
different faces and then like photographing that and keeping that as reference. I could totally see that being something he does, because there's no
Yeah.
way that you, I mean, who the fuck is gonna pose for this? Like who else is
Yeah.
gonna do all these faces for you? But anyway, so I love this opening. It jumps right into the humor because
Hmm.
Doctor Strange thinks he's being attacked, thinks it's Wong, but then it's not Wong, ends up being Nightmare, and he's like, "All right, I'll tell you. I'm here to warn you that the Dread Dormammu," and then like you could see, I could just hear this in my head, like this big spiel of like the Dread Dormammu and Umar the
Yeah.
Unholy, you know, and he's like, "That's not funny." And then he's like, and then they go, and then you realize who it is, and it's Nightmare.
And I love Nightmare. I've always thought he was like a cool visual, like really cool looking. Like one of my favorite cards from the first set of Marvel Universe trading cards back in the day was a Nightmare card.
Yeah, I
So
don't
I
remember
always
all
loved
those
the way he
cards.
looked.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a goofy costume right here.
Yeah.
I think he's been depicted better. Like I
Yes.
think the more, I don't want to say the more modern, but there was like another costume where it was like, I think it was like black, right? That he
Yeah.
had that costume. I mean, this dude's not terrifying to me. And
No,
I
no,
don't,
no. Yeah, and
and I'm
he's
sure they're
kind of
using this.
played buffoonish in this. Like he's
Yeah,
kind of played for laughs.
I also feel like this is not set in the what was the current continuity. I feel like it
No,
could have been, but it's hard to tell because like I can't remember what Namor was wearing at the time, but I don't think he was wearing his classic fucking green swim trunks. I feel like he was wearing
yeah,
something else. But I mean that's neither here nor there. But I always love these two. These the credits
yes,
that
dude.
they write.
Every single one of them is.
So really the whole catalyst of this book of them coming back together to team up is like what Nightmare said, is Umar and Dormammu are teaming up. They're siblings, by the way, brother and sister, and they're gonna take over the world
Yeah,
and reform it to their liking. But it's interesting that Nightmare's the one that comes to him and tells him about it and warns him, and he's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like trapped in this mirror, and then the dialogue between them. I mean, it's just so funny, dude.
yeah, man. I'm like just rereading it, and then all the jokes about Wong, like, oh look, here's Wong with the T. Not
Yeah,
that he's your valet or
his
anything. Wong
manservant.
is my associate and my friend, right? And he can polish an amulet like nobody's business. Just stuff like that. There's all these jokes that work on so many levels.
Yeah, I love that he's like, I aid Doctor Strange by choice as our master, the ancient one always taught us. Service to a greater cause dissolves the limited self and allows the divinity within the fire. He's like, yada, yada, yada. It's like he doesn't care. He's like,
Yeah.
go, they're coming. Break out a fresh pair of tights, try clean the cape, and get your ass in gear. I mean, just it's so funny. And it's like it's so hard, I think, to recapture something that like really works, sometimes. And I think they did it in such a good way. And I think they couldn't have done it with another team. The Defenders is the only team you can do this type of story with the humor. I don't think Avengers it would work. It just would
No.
feel weird.
And
Uh
then there's just something about like the juxtaposition of these characters too that makes it easier to do the humor. Like they're all so different, and like when you even look at it at its core, it's kind of a ludicrous theme to begin with. You have the Hulk, you have like a cosmic entity, you have Namor. These characters normally wouldn't really be together. Like that's what makes it such a good choice for this.
yeah, and I love how he has to recruit them, right? And he goes to Bruce, and it's interesting that this Bruce Banner, to me, he doesn't look like a skinny little wimp. I don't know if you picked up on that. That to me was a little bit different than we normally see.
Yeah, he's got like a fuller jawline. He looks a little bit more beefed out. Like
He doesn't want to go back with him. And they never do. None of them, like the four core defenders from the original team, never want to team up. At least from what
no,
I've read.
yeah, it's always something that sort of forces them to come together. Like it's not like they're hanging out at like Defenders Mansion, like the Avengers are hanging out at Avengers Mansion or something. Like you said earlier, like this is a team that doesn't want to be together. And just the dialogue is so good, man. The situation, like Bruce is like, the situation is always critical. So what is it this time? Plague of locusts? Hardly. Alien invasion? That's more of the Fantastic Four. Humanoid gorillas from the fifth dimension? Now you're being absurd.
I know. He's like, wait, don't tell me the Dread Dormammu's invading there. Like you can hear like even the inflection of how he's
Yes,
saying it in the dialogue. And I
and
don't
like
think
when I
what
read it, it sounds to me like it would be like that screwball comedy, quick back and forth, like being delivered rapid fire. You know what I mean? Like almost like in a sitcom. You know what I mean? Like the zingers just keep coming.
I
Like
love
this shit should have a laugh track. Like I feel like it does in my head. You know when I'm
what
reading
about this? Umar, isn't she married to Ethan Hawke? He's like,
it.
he's like, I'm afraid I don't understand the reference. You know, like it's stuff like that that I feel like we get because of our age, but I feel like not everybody's gonna get that joke. So some of the jokes are definitely a product of its time.
Also true of Justice League. You know?
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's bad, but
Yeah.
I like that, we as being the age that we are can read that joke and we get it, And look, and again, a bunch of talking heads, and there's a callback to this too at one point. I think it's at the end of issue 4 where it's like, oh, is it going to be another issue of talking heads? And so
Yes,
because a lot of this is, and a lot of what makes this writing team, Dematteis and Giffen, so strong is their dialogue.
it is, man. And like I mean, but the dialogue
Yeah,
is so fun to read that you
it
don't
is
mind.
exactly. And I love how at the end of it all, he's like, just for the record, you totally guilted me into this. He's like, of course. And then you go down with Namor. Namor's dialogue is fantastic too. And he doesn't like Doctor Strange. He makes sure to let him know that we're not friends at all. You're not my
Yeah,
friend. And he's like,
multiple times he says
and he doesn't
it.
want to work with the Hulk. I'd rather drown than join you.
Yeah.
Who knew green could be an odor? I mean, just it's it's just so much for this. And then he's like, if the magnanimous prince would allow me just one question. He's like, all right, since he phrased it with the appropriate subservience, one question. I mean, look, that I know most of what we're talking about is the dialogue, but I have again another shout out, just the difference of the facial expressions, the emotions that are emitted from these characters. Like and his fucking sarcasm, like, oh, but how can you possibly trust an immortal creature such as I? And you can just like hear Namor saying it. I really want a Namor movie. I really would, and a Namor comic would be really dope. And now we
He's an
get
underused character.
he is underused, and now we get Dormammu and the Dark Dimension with Umar as they're plotting their plan. And
And Umar and Dormammu was one of my favorite things in the whole storyline, man.
oh, they're
Like I
the
know
to me they're the
Dormammu's
stars of
depicted usually as this like completely frightening, like almost like eldritch kind of like character, but I love how much of an idiot and a buffoon he is here.
Oh God, he's such an idiot in here, and
Yeah,
that's what I love too about from the Justice League run is how idiotic they made the villains, and their plans are always so stupid. I love how she just fucking belittles him the entire time. And if you looked at these two characters together, who would you be scared of? Dormammu, but he's the one that turns into this, like, for lack of a better way of saying, a little bitch, a little.
yeah, yeah, and like their relationship is like bordering on like weird,
Borderline
like
incestuous a little bit.
yeah, he's got like a weird obsession with her,
Yeah.
which she obviously uses to manipulate him.
Yes. And she's so sick of hearing him talk about Doctor Strange. That's called out multiple times throughout where she's like, I feel like there's something else going on. It's Doctor Strange this, Doctor
Yeah,
Strange that.
and shout out again to Kevin Maguire, man. Like Dormammu's like a flame head. Like there's no
Yeah.
detail in his face, but even there, he's able to capture expressions and
Yes.
give you a different looking face for Dormammu so many times that like you can see what his emotion is when he's talking.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of artists would probably just draw like the same like flaming face with like very little difference. Like he does so much with like the mouth and eyes that are basically just shapes.
Yes.
But he
Yes.
does so much in the way he angles the head or makes the mouth different or like the eyes. Like it's amazing, man.
These 2 pages of now it's not the whole team together. Not to well, we're talking about the whole series, so we're gonna spoil it. Silver Surfer never actually comes together with the team. I mean,
No,
and that in and of itself is kind of funny, but the group that is going to be together, which is the three of them, Doctor Strange, Namor, and Hulk, these pages, the dialogue hilarious, dude. Where he's like, I've been meaning to ask you, did you ever actually find Nemo, or are you still looking? And he doesn't even know what it means, so he holds the finger, wags it, and then he puts it down. He's like, if I knew what that meant, I'd kill you where you stand. And then here, where he's like, I'll say it's enough. Point me toward the door, Steve, because if I spend another minute with the Little Mermaid here, I'm gonna go nuts.
Wait, did you just call me the Little Mermaid?
Yeah, it's just so funny, dude. Because they all, I don't want to say, like, I don't think Hulk hates Strange, but Hulk and Namor cannot stand each other, like, way
Yes,
more than
yeah,
the rest of the team, right? And Doctor
yeah,
Strange is kind of just on the outskirts trying to, like, he just needs what he needs from them. His whole goal
yeah,
is not to make this team, it's just to take care of whatever the mission is at hand. But in and of itself, that's where all this humor fault finds itself. And as he makes the Little Mermaid comment, he smacks Bruce. And I love this transformation, dude. I love how it almost looks like he's straining to take a shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you saw that when you read it the first
I
time,
did.
but that's what I see. And then he comes out of it. Strange can't control them, dude. And he's like, "Can you restrain yourselves?" Nope, guess not. And he draws such a good Hulk.
I was gonna say that, dude. He draws an amazing Hulk, man. Like he would have been good to do maybe like a run of the Hulk. I think
Yeah, it would have been a fun one. And now Hulk is trapped with all the different
the nameless,
mindless
those the
ones.
mindless ones. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
just
love how they always call him the Dread Dormammu.
I know. Of course, how foolish of me not to have realized it. I just love Namor's sarcasm and his lack of respect for Doctor Strange and everybody else around him. He thinks he's better
Yeah.
than himself, and I think that is when Namor is at his best. Like that.
Yes.
That is really who he is inherently. Is he thinks he's better than you? He hates the surface world. You can all go fuck yourself, pretty much. And then we get the Surfer. And where is he? He's at the beach with a bunch of surfers, dude.
Dude, I love this, and you know what I mean. Initially, I was like, all right, this is strange, but like as soon as I started reading it, I thought it was funny, and again, like it's using the surfer in a way that he's not ever really used. He's usually, and there is elements of here because he's sort of like that morose like character that's always like philosophizing and like, but here it's played slightly for laughs, which is an interesting take and just makes it work for this story.
And it sells it with the big eyes.
Yes, again, I was yeah. There's Kevin Maguire with the facial expressions, man. Another character that doesn't lend himself to a lot of detail in the face, so it's hard to give him expression. So giving him those big eyes was such an amazing choice because it
Yeah.
allows you to sort of create a lot of expressions for him.
I love that he's like, these sun-bronzed creatures seem most like me. No longer does the surfer feel alone in this vast, cold universe.
Cowabunga!
But they speak a curious language that baffles even one who has traversed 1,000 worlds. Is an ever-deepening mystery, echoing the mystery of creation itself, and I must penetrate it. And it's just like you give him this like dumbfounded look, but then you have him speaking like this, like very philosophical, like
Yeah.
verbiage, and I just think it's hilarious, dude. Oh, this cover is one of my favorites too.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. I mean, look at just the veins and the neck,
Oh
like,
my god, yeah.
and again, the humor is right there on the cover. Who's kicking Colts censored? Find out. Didn't think we'd tell you on the cover, did you? Like,
Yeah, I just love his Hulk, dude. Because
oh, dude, his
he
whole
can make him, like, I don't want to say terrifying, but menacing, and then also funny throughout. And
and
this one
again,
is just basically just all of them fighting the dread ones, or the mindless ones, and Hulk. He's just getting overtaken. He's like, this isn't a challenge, but then all of a sudden, like, okay, hold on a sec. Oh, wait, nope. And then he just gets overtaken. And then this is where it gets weird with Umar and Dormammu, is the
yeah,
shower
dude,
scene.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm almost surprised they did this. Like, I don't know if this comic would fly today, or if today's Marvel would even publish this.
Well, they really like toe the line though. They don't get super
No,
they never cross the line fully. It's just it's somewhat implied, and even what's being implied is also still not very on the nose, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Like,
it does. It does. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
yeah.
about. Like, it's definitely played for laughs. Like I think it's again it's just making Dormammu into more of a buffoon, which is like the role he's playing in this story.
Yeah. And like this, like watch your tongue says, it's just like, but you like my tongue? Like that that
Yeah.
line of dialogue, I was like, wait a second, I don't remember this when I read this the first time. Like, I didn't pick up on that. And it's just like, you need me to mock you. You need me to humble and belittle you because in the depths of your soul, you know that you're the same worthless little nothing you were when we were young. Those flames can hide your true face from the masses, but they can't hide it from your big sister. And it's just like that right there is like perfectly describes their relationship. Now get my favorite towel, will you? I mean, like,
Yeah.
so stupid, dude. I just love this though. We get the, finally like Strange has found Dormammu, and he's like, and then he makes fun of the way he talks. He's like, that's what I love about you, your grand sense of melodrama. And it's interesting too, because like I feel like you said too, like Dormammu and Umar are just as much stars of this book as the
Hmm.
defenders themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they might have the most, like, for lack of a better term, screen time in the story. Like
And it's funny
I
too.
love this
What?
this page. This page is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this because it's funny. Like Maguire, like he's not really. I don't want to say he's not known for his action scenes. I definitely think he's known for his faces, right? Like we keep talking about
Yeah,
it, but he does do some good action stuff in here as well.
yeah, man, he does. He does. I mean, the story has plenty of action and plenty of movement. There's a lot of energy to some of the stuff he's doing. Like really cool, great layouts too.
Like the
Like I
Hulk
want to
going
shout
up.
out the coloring too. The coloring is really vibrant
Oh
and popping.
yes, I like how Hulk goes up against Dormammu, like just with the fist, then the finger, and he's like basically calling him out to see if he could actually like stop why he should be afraid of him, and then he
And
turns him into stone or glass, whatever you want to call it.
and again, look at those three panels where the Hulk's up in his face. Like
Yeah,
both Hulk and Dormammu's expressions are slightly different in each panel, conveying like movement of the face. Like that's something a lot of artists don't do. Like that's
no,
Kevin Maguire doing what he does best, and those three panels right there are a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier.
like
Like
Dormammu
even
doesn't
the
change that
fold and the
much.
neck are changing.
Yeah, Dormammu doesn't change that much, but just enough so you know that he redrew those panels or he redrew them.
Exactly,
But
exactly.
Hulk has noticeable differences. And again, like now Umar's like kind of talking, giving some backstory onto what the whole relationship between her and Dormammu, which is a ton of writing here. But it's
Yes.
like we said, like the writing is so good, it's so funny that you're not like, oh my god, like there's too much text.
Yeah, she's got her own plan, and she's gonna
Yeah.
sort of let him do his plan, so she can sort of take it from him when he does so. I also love how friggin' horny she is all the time. Like
Oh, dude, yeah,
she
I
sees
know.
a Hulk and she wants to bang him right away. Like
It's
so
so funny.
manly. Isn't that an interesting specimen? So manly in a gloriously repugnant way. I simply must have him or it or whatever.
Yeah.
A girl does get lonely with only brainless lackeys and an idiot brother to turn to in times of emotional need.
Yeah. And then she says, like, she'll turn him into broccoli and he's already green, so it won't be much of a leap if it doesn't work out. It's just so weird. It talks about how her brother will be jealous because he doesn't want to share him. And she's like, I wish he'd start dating. Oh yeah, but I did kill that one girl back then, like so it just lays a lot of like groundwork that doesn't you don't necessarily need to know, but it just makes the story that much better
Yeah.
and fleshes out the characters in a way that like it elevates the story is what I was trying to say.
Oh yeah, yeah, man, it does.
Now we got Strange, Namor trapped,
Yeah.
Dormammu laying out his entire plan as all villains do.
He takes the amulet.
Uh-huh. And this is where Umar finally gets her hands on Hulk. And she even calls it out. She's like, yeah, he's probably telling Strange every detail of our plan. Can't keep his flaming mouth shut. If only I could conquer the universe alone, life would be so much easier. And then I like right here where she says, you may be right. And then he like at first he's like taken aback. So he's still in the spiel of like, you don't ever have faith in me. And then it's like, oh, you said I'm right. So she's just manipulating him, to kind of keep her own plans to herself. Again, just the the fucking facial expressions. Every single panel is different for Doctor Strange. I love this look of
Yeah.
him. Like as he's like, it looks like he's in anguish, and then immediately, like when he starts to think of like a plan to get out, so good. What is he saying? My king, my kingdom for an aspirin, because he just wants
And
it to. He just wants it to shut up.
we're back with the surfer on the next page.
Yeah.
I love
Again,
these surfer moments, man. They're
they're
really
good,
funny.
but they serve no purpose to the
That,
actual
but that's
story.
that's what I liked about him. I was
Yeah.
like what a ballsy choice to go that route, because like some of the diehards that are like big surfer fans are probably going to object to this portrayal because he's not like this overpowered character. But if for this story it works, and I think that's all you really need from a character you're using in your story, is for it to work in your story. Like that's what,
Mhm.
when you said earlier, like you can look at this as like out of continuity. Who cares? Just enjoy it because it's a real fun story.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And it's like also he's the most powerful, so kind of taking him off the board in a way, like kind of enables the villain to have more of a threat to
Right.
the team,
It lets the story play out a little bit easier, because he could easily be like a Deus Ex Machina and like just get everything changed in the blink
I
of an
know, and
eye.
I
But
kept
no.
and I kept wondering like when is he gonna come in to play with the team? And like, well,
Right, right.
you'll
Because it almost
see.
seems like that's the buildup, and I think that's the punchline, is that he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
and I love how all these girls are like, do you have a girlfriend? So do you like have a girlfriend?
Hmm. And then we come back with Dormammu and Umar, and again here now she's second guessing. Maybe she doesn't want Hulk. Maybe she wants Wong.
Yeah.
And Dormammu is like, control yourself, off on the side. And now their plans are coming to fruition. He has the Eye of Agamotto, and he's
Yeah.
using it, or is it? It is Eye, right?
I
He
think
calls
so.
it an
Yeah.
amulet. I always thought it was the Eye of Agamotto. Well, whatever. He's using the amulet. They're transporting themselves to another realm, and we end up seeing that he's gone to eternity.
Yeah, he's like stepped out of reality. I
Yeah,
love this page, man. Like,
it's
what an
really good.
awesome drawing of eternity. Like
Hmm.
it like, I know it's a humorous story, but it does sort of like convey like majesty.
And as he's talking to eternity, every time he says it's Dormammu and Umar and Umar,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it
She
just
says
like
it also.
it keeps saying it. It's so
We'll bend
funny.
eternity to my hour, and then he sighs, our wills, and remake create. Like
Hmm. Yeah, so good.
I, I love the trail of fire, like the long trail of fire on Dormammu there too. It's just great, man.
So yeah, it's interesting. So they basically murder Eternity, and
Yeah,
Dormammu takes the power for himself, and he's now going to remake
that
reality.
page of like Dormammu of eternity like bleeding out is really
Oh,
awesome, man. Like that's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
actually like one of the coolest things in the story that I really love.
yeah. To me, it just reminded me of like paint being splattered. Is kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what it looked like, which is
It
kind of
looks
a
like, I
cool.
like
And
how it looks like liquid. Like
uh-huh. Yeah, it's pretty dope. And there's like just planets in the middle, and like his almost like his face is kind of like melding into this dead
yeah.
body. So now he's gonna go do it. He's gonna remake reality, rebirthing everything in his image. And I love this shot too of his mouth with the
Oh, dude,
flaming
it's
eyes.
awesome, man. Yeah. So he's basically become eternity now.
Yeah. All the while in Dormammu's reality, we still have Doctor Strange captured, and he
Right, because they're
manipulates.
all they're outside of that reality, so they're not being affected by what's going on.
Yeah. And then he manipulates Dormammu's minions to give water to Namor, so that's how he's going to escape. And here comes Umar back with Hulk, and she's floating him into the room, and she has her way with him.
Dude. And I don't think it's accidental that like they've got like that phallic looking tower. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's almost like the classic joke in like the Naked Gun movie with the train going into the tunnel when they're screwing it. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like double entendres and innuendo in this story too, and like they push the envelope. I think as far, like you said, they go as far as they can without making it gross or uncomfortable.
I Hulk exhausted. Umar just getting started.
Like, dude, like she just screwed the Hulk and like she tired him out. So you can only imagine what she's like,
Yeah, get some more Surfer here, but now we see that reality's changing, but Surfer's still left to how he was, but now all these people have been turned into these like weird creatures.
I like that the
And
dude's still wearing the Hawaiian shirt though.
yeah,
Dude,
again, just
Hulk's
a cool.
expression on that.
Oh my god, dude, I know. Even her, dude, her hair's all messed up too, so you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what
she's got
happened.
like after sex hair, you know.
Yeah, I really did expect more out of the green paperweight. Oh well, it's not a total loss. Our encounter distracted him enough, just enough for me to slip the behavioral modification spell into the seventh layer of his aura. So it's interesting because like Hulk has to be angry, right? I like how we see like him slowly turning into the Hulk or into Bruce. She's deciding what to do with him, and then looks over varicose veins in the Vishanti. What's happening? That shit made me laugh out loud when I read that. And look, he's so relaxed, dude. You know,
Yeah, he's like, I'm feeling awfully mellow right now. In fact, it's weird. I don't think I've felt this relaxed in years. So like the implication is that poor Bruce hasn't gotten laid in a few years, maybe. Like,
exactly. But he doesn't even know what happened.
no, yeah, yeah, because it's the Hulk that did it, you know.
I love this bottom panel where he's just he looks all like, you know, he looks all like
Yeah,
arrogant a little bit. He's cocky. He's got
yeah,
his hands behind his head. He's like, I don't think yeah, and that's what he says. I don't think I felt this relaxed in years. And then this explosion because Umar's pissed. And he's like,
yeah.
wow, I really am relaxed. And he's like, Hulk on. It's Hulking time. Shez Hulk.
Shazok was funny that I made. And again, look at the facial expressions, man. You know,
Yeah.
like it's like
So funny, dude. So now Namor has gotten out. And again, he's like, he says, I love this right here. He's like, what were you doing? Like, you couldn't have got out of here earlier. He's like, and then he thanks Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange says, you're welcome. He's like, I was being sarcastic. So was I. Their interactions are so good. I would love to see
yeah,
this like a story with the two of them,
yeah, like almost like a buddy cop movie, you know?
like a Lethal Weapon or something. Yeah.
Yeah, totally, dude. Yeah.
So now they're on their way to go stop Dormammu, and he's like, "Well, what about Hulk?" And he'll find a way to fend for himself. Like they don't. He doesn't even care. He's not even going to save his teammate that he put in this situation too.
Yeah.
And then we get to Earth. Namor's not doesn't understand. He's like, "What's wrong?" And they see that Dormammu who's changed the Earth. I love this double page too.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you see
great.
the look of confusion in Namor, and you see the look of like disbelief and like worry in Doctor Strange's face.
Yeah.
So now they're gonna figure out they're going undercover so that they can't be discovered by Dormammu, but he can see everything because, like you said, he is basically eternity now, and he's done something with this world. He's remade it, and as he remade it, he made Doctor Strange his manservant.
Yeah, he's even bald like Wong. And
And
then we
Hulk,
get
dude,
the
no matter what she does, Umar's like on, tied up, tries to get him to turn back into the Hulk, but nothing's working, and he's throwing
I
he
love
keeps
I
throwing
love that
up.
his word balloons are up the his dialogue is upside down. I thought that was clever.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was a little annoying to read after a
Yeah.
little bit, but it was fine. I love that in between him talking too, he keeps puking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I love, here like as Strange and Namor are undercover looking for a way to stop him, we have, the evil Strange having Clea tied up and like
Yeah.
reminding her of like what she had. This panel at the bottom with the look on her face, man, dude.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I
And then
love this like dark Ben Grimm, dude.
yeah,
That
it's
shit was
pretty dope.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely a
actually
dope.
all the redesigns of the characters are really like Daredevil with the horns coming out of him, like Spider-Man with the six arms and like the they're like demons almost, it's
Yeah,
really
it's like they're
cool.
mixed with the mindless ones is kind of what I
Yeah.
took from it. But yeah, the
And I
Spider-Man, the Daredevil, and then you get
Daredevil's eyes like being sewn shut like that.
yeah, the horns coming up out of his head. And then you got Thor that almost looks like a cross with Beta Ray Bill. I think that's Iron Man.
I think so too, yeah.
And then
Obviously
Cap
Beast.
and Wolverine and Beast. Yeah. Interesting choice. Like, why did you pick who you picked for this? Like, some of that makes sense, but like Beast was kind of out of left field. What was the point of introducing him? Why not do like could have you
I'd
could
love
have
to
done
see
it?
these alternate characters come back somewhere. I really do like the design. Like
Yeah. No, it'd be cool to like if this is a multiverse. Now we saw the Doctor Strange of this universe. Now we see this Bruce Banner, who's this like homeless madman.
Yeah, like and they're always talking about how he smells.
It's so funny. He's got these like his hand coming up here at the bottom. It's like long fingernails. Like he is just like completely let himself go. He's insane.
Love this page, man. I love the way the alternate heroes look. I love like the spikes on the bottom of like Wolverine's boots.
Yeah, so good.
I love the way his claws are like have like serrated edges, you know?
Because it's like this is like what Dormammu sees them as. Like that's what I
Right,
take
yeah.
it. You know, like he sees them as this. He sees the Hulk as some like mad fucking idiot, right? Doctor
Yeah.
Strange, that's his fantasy is for him to be
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
manservant.
He these are Dormammu's fantasies right here.
Yeah. I love how he tells Namor to have compassion for this Bruce Banner, and then when he comes and touches him, he's like, "Oh, get off!" Like disgusted.
Perhaps it would be best to save compassion for later.
Yeah.
Again, like his Stephen Strange is like it's kind of like he's kind of a douche too, you know?
Hmm. We do get Iceman in here too.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah, that's right.
yeah. There's a couple other people that like briefly come into play.
Is that Falcon there? I think, yeah. And then we've got
I
Medusa,
Yeah, and
Iron
then we
Fist,
have this guy
Cyclops,
that's
yeah.
like, if you want to live to fight another day, you have to come with me, and that's where we see this like team of like rebels,
I
and
like
it ends up. What's up?
Captain America's shield too. The way it's buried in the beast is back there in that one panel. You pat that page there. See,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Looks like a chainsaw or like a saw
yeah,
blade.
like a saw blade. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I like too how we get introduced of William Everett McKenzie, which is the name he would have taken if he went down a different path, right? So this is like Namor that hasn't become King of Atlantis, and I really love this double page right here with the inset panels of
oh
Strange
man,
versus the
yeah,
evil one. This is
yes,
awesome.
it's awesome, man. And like just like I'll like the classic like Doctor Strange, like the way you visualize his magic because Strange's powers are not easy to pull off visually because they're spells. So like you've got to be clever to make them feel fresh and like just the way everything looks here, like you said with the panels, like there's a lot of energy to this page.
And we see Strange is taken out, and then we flash back to Surfer again at the end. And this is where it says it, unless they do another one of those issues where everyone just stands around and talks. But yeah, and then we get
I love this cover too, man.
yeah, this is a great cover. Definitely you get to see all these like dark versions of the characters. So now we have Doctor Strange tied up. We got the evil Doctor Strange pulling him along, and I love how he's getting egged.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. That's great.
And who is that filming? It's one of the people that's part of this like rebellion against Dormammu is just like filming it. I love this dude. This fucking banner off me, wretch. He's just so fucked up, dude.
Dude, yeah, like this banner is like the butt of so many jokes.
And I love the back and forth between Namor and his counterpart.
Like he's even an asshole to his counterpart, like he
Yeah, but you see like what a good leader he can be if he's not a dick, you know.
yeah.
And I think that
Yeah.
that is a cool little like contrast of like we've been seeing Namor this whole time being such a douchebag and kind of sarcastic always, but this guy's like and he keeps like telling him to call him Prince Namor, but he kind of refuses.
Yeah, dude,
Like
it's fucking great.
he's like, dude, tamp down the ego a minute and listen to me. What ego? And like, what do you mean? Your ego of needing to be called Prince, you idiot. But yeah, this is great. And then Umar coming in with Bruce on a leash, like a dog.
And I like that it's like one of those like it's like shaped like
The
that's the one I have for
retractable.
my dog,
Yeah,
Yeah. I love the title of this chapter too. The enemy of my enemy isn't exactly my friend, but she'll do in a pinch.
yeah.
Like I love parentheticals and like they use them a lot in their titles.
Oh yeah, dude. Their titles of their books are amazing. I love here
Yeah.
too. Like Umar's now come back and she's like gonna help them take down Dormammu. Why are you on a leash? And he's like,
Long
long
story.
story. I'd love to hear it another time. It's so stupid. Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
this book would fly today. I
No,
mean,
man. I like
maybe
I
it will,
think
but I feel like editor like people are too sensitive now. I feel like they would have some sort of comment about that.
that, and I think that like Marvel almost would take itself too seriously now because of like issues like these characters are now big IPs outside of the comics. Like I feel like they wouldn't want people. They'd feel like it's like you're laughing at the characters, but you're not really. You're laughing with the creators, which is a different thing. Like they're not making the characters dumb to because they don't like them. They're just having fun with it.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't want every Marvel story to be like this, but it just shows you that when you come at something with a different like angle, you can still make something fresh and do something interesting with these characters. Like that's I think that's what comics sometimes is missing too, is like this kind of attitude. Like sometimes you just gotta have some fun.
Yeah. I love this too, as Strange gets brought to Dormammu and he's like even shackled and gagged, he still prattles on, trying to cast a fruitless spell, no doubt. Or perhaps he wants to lecture me, as he always does, on the ultimate victory of good over evil. And you can just see him struggling, right? And Dormammu comes, basically forms his body back instead of being this overpowering floating head. And as he comes to Doctor Strange, we see that it was all a fucking spell, and that he switched places with his evil counterpart, and now he's going to attack. And then the rest of the team comes in, and we get
Yeah,
this final battle.
and actually like it's a really nice action packed final battle, dude. I
Yeah.
love Hulk. I think it's coming. It's when he fucking smashes Dormammu's head.
Oh yeah, so good. And I love how she's like, she now shows that she was a traitor, and that she, what the fuck is the word? I can't think of the word. She backstabbed Dormammu.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And he's ready to see, like, look at this, take up the mantle of godhood.
It's a
Boom.
godhood. Boom.
So good. Just the seeing how much bigger Hulk's hands are to Dormammu too.
I know, man. I really did like that,
I
and
really
I,
like
I
it.
love how like she's such a like a she's just a terrible person because like she's cold and like she's just manipulative and she's so like snobbish and well that turned out better than I hoped. Like
Yeah. I love this too. You're so predictable, almost embarrassing. I I'm the dread Dormammu. You can't. And like you can just see how pathetic he sounds as he's talking to her. She's like, I can, and I did. So focused on the sorcery, you didn't realize it was even happening. So it just
yeah.
shows how like incompetent he is, even though he has all this power, and how she can just fucking basically take his balls from him. And now everything goes back to normal. And this is where everybody's gonna separate themselves. And they put Dormammu in this fucking box, fucking weird
Yeah,
little
dude.
body. I love this, dude. And I like this. How about we crack open a brew or two, and I'll fill you in on all the nasty details? Because like I gave up drinking years ago, and like, will a cup of green tea suffice? Does it have to be green? And then you just see Dormammu. The last we see of him, he just like kind of like mumbles some shit, and then we get Surfer, and that's how we end the story.
I love the last line is so great. I
Yeah,
should have let Galactic see them.
I like how they just call him Silvery, dude,
Yeah,
and they want him to limbo, and then he just like
so
he just
like you're
sees how
saying that
idiotic they are, and that he'd rather just like Galactus eat them. And that's where his eyes, like, I like when he's like thinking of how stupid they are, his eyes like get small, because he's not in
yeah,
he doesn't have this like sense of wonder about what he's talking about anymore. That's a very
yeah,
good fucking it's cool that he like depicts it that way, Maguire. But yeah, this is a great series. I don't know
yeah,
if
man.
it's
It's
been
it's a
collected, but
I mean, I have a digital version, which I mean makes me think that it might have been, but
okay.
that could just be that they collected the issues individually. But Marvel is weird about collecting certain things, and that was a weird period for them where like I don't they weren't collecting some of the more like lesser known runs.
Yeah, they definitely weren't collecting. I don't know if they were collecting every single thing at this point. I feel like they might have been, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure this was collected. I don't see why they wouldn't have, but great series, really fun to revisit. And I definitely will. This is probably something I'm going to revisit more frequently now that I have easy
Yeah,
access to it, because
same man, and like
sometimes,
it's one of those things that like there was so much stuff. Marvel was going through such a weird period in the early and mid 2000s where like they were releasing a lot of stuff, so like a lot of stuff got like pushed under the radar, and I
mhm.
think this is one of them. That like maybe even some diehard like Justice League fans might not even be aware of.
Yeah, I definitely glad we spotlighted this, and this is one of the things we're doing for our week of Giffen. So definitely check out the other Keith Giffen stuff we have, and make sure you like, follow, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, we're out.